and welcome to John's Garage. This week we're driving an absolutely gorgeous black 1997 Toyota Celica ST202. Now this is one of my all-time favourite Celica models. Love the one that came after it as well with the sharper looks, but this particular one, I think it's, for me, it's the pinnacle of Celicas. It's stylish, it's comfortable, it's extremely well built, and it's kind of the everyman's coupe. So what do I like about it? Okay, I spoke to the owner of this car, who generously lent it to us to shoot this video. Contacted me after the last video and said, John, I'd love you to have a drive in my car featured on your channel. So again, very grateful to that guy for doing that. But anyway, I digress. What do I like about the car? I like the, how do I put it? This is the thinking man's coupe. It's Japanese, it's well built, parts supply is massive. Support, you can go to a main dealer and get all your parts still if you want. You can contact numerous different clubs on Facebook. We all know, and I don't think I have to go in to explain it, that Toyota seems to reserve a special place in the hearts of Irish motorists. Everyone from your great granddad driving his old Corolla Saloon with no aircon, just like this Celica, to lads driving twin cams, taking them around side roads, doing whatever they want to do, modifying them. You know, it's an everyman's car really, an everyman's brand, and in my opinion it has something for everybody. This particular one, as I say, this is my choice. It's reliable, I think the looks are great, I like the look of the interior. I know a lot of people say, oh well, it's you know, it's Japanese, it's got, you know, poor plastics, it's not particularly inspiring, it's not this, it's not that. Do you know what? I actually personally think they're bloody well wrong, and I'm going to just say it straight. This car is 25 years old. It's still on the road. Sorry if my maths are wrong there, but it's about 25 years old. Everything in this car works. CD player works, the heating works, electric windows work, sunroof works, there's no squeaks, there's no rattles, there's no trim missing, there's nothing broken, there's nothing looking a bit shabby. It's all there, it all works. Yeah, the cabin could be a little bit more inspiring, but then again, at the price point you were paying back in the mid-90s, what did you expect? You were getting a sports car with rally heritage. Not just any old rally heritage. This thing had such good heritage, it actually got banned from rallying. There was a device found to be fitted in the turbo, which was increasing the output of the car, giving it quicker acceleration times and so on and so forth. But I think people found the device to be so ingenious that they actually admired Toyota for being able to come up with it, because everybody else struggled with it. You can look that up on Google. I'm not going to go into explain the technicalities, mainly because I'll fully admit I can't. So, but it's just an ingenious thing, and it just, for me, it sums up the thinking at Toyota. It's completely different everywhere else. They look at a problem and they think, how do we simply get around this problem? What's the simplest, easiest way around this? And this is their sports car. This is their everyman sports car. It does what it says in the tin. This is 1.8 litre, 115 horsepower, 5-speed manual. So we're not talking about massive amount of power. We're not talking about a big engine or huge acceleration. But this car drives in a way in which it reminds me of the MX-5. It's alive. You can feel it. You can feel a lot of the bumps. You can feel everything. But this car takes it a step further, whereby it's actually comfortable. The seat is quite heavily bolstered, but it's lovely and soft and squishy, and it's very easy to get comfortable in this car. My only gripe is the headroom. I'm just shy of 5'9". There's a sunroof in this car, and I'll be quite honest, I wouldn't want to be any higher. I wouldn't want to be any taller. The seat is down as far as it goes. I fit comfortably, it's nice, but that's my main gripe with the car. Other than that, as I was saying earlier on, parts supply is plentiful, parts are pretty cheap, support is incredible. You can take this to any mechanic and they'll service it. If there's something particularly rare or modifications you want to make, there's a huge amount of support online and a lot of dedicated Irish Facebook groups. But this particular model I like because it's been largely left alone. It's largely unmodified. Most of the modifications are stylistic, so you have little wings over the wing mirrors, you have a little spoiler at the back, some of the under bonnet and some of the suspension has been painted, but to the best of my knowledge and to the best of the knowledge of the owner, it isn't modified, it is as it should be. Now, from speaking to the owner, this car is interesting and it has a special place for them in their heart. actually only recently bought this car, but it wasn't their first time owning it. They owned it several years ago, and at that point, we'll just say the car had better days. Okay, it was a well-used car, was well loved, we put it like that, and well used, and it was starting to show its age a little bit. There was a bit of rust in a door, there was a few little bits and pieces starting to go wrong, and bits of maintenance that needed to be done, and they sold it, at the time it was a very fair price. Looking back at it now, it was an absolute bargain for the person who bought it. Now, I do know the person who bought it from them is a well-known enthusiast, Toyota enthusiast in Roscommon, and they bought it back from that person. And credit where credit's due. If you're watching this video, this car drives superbly. It's been finished off to a very, very nice standard. It's been lovingly brought back. It's been lovingly maintained and improved upon. So kudos to you. You did a great job. I can tell you that the new owner or the new old owner, put it like that, is absolutely delighted with the work you did to it and bringing it back. And I know they're absolutely chuffed you sold it back to them. So well done. I know you're well known in Toyota circles and in club circles. So if anybody's ever buying a car off this person, if this is the standard they put cars to, well, I don't think you should have anything to worry about. So for anyone who's familiar with mid-90s Toyotas, the interior here it's a bit of a parts bin special. You have your early airbag style steering wheel, so it's a big chunk in the middle. The stalks, which I think they were pretty much in every single Toyota in the 80s, 90s and early 2000s. Heating, controls, push button system, Toyota CD player head unit. Now the original stereo isn't in the car, but I do know the current owner has found one and is going to fit it. The other thing is, and to be honest, I don't know whether it's coming through in the camera or not, there is a louder exhaust fitted to this car, but I do know the new owner is going to put it back to original. He has a standard box and he just didn't get a chance to fit it before we filmed the car. Other than that, it's a super car to drive. Again, this is one of these cars, you don't have to go hard, you don't have to go fast, but you can really feel the car alive. You can actually feel what you're doing. The steering is very direct, the gear shift is lovely, there's lovely light clutch action, accelerator is responsive, the car is well able to pick up speed. Now it's not going to be a high speed champion or anything like that, but at legal speeds this is quite an entertaining car to drive. The other thing is, and I can see this without any shadow of a doubt, it would actually be a good long drive companion. This car is quite comfortable. The seating position, despite my maybe a little bit of lack of headroom, it's quite good. I'm quite upright, I'm quite comfortable. The seats are quite supportive. There's nice support at the base. Everything is just to hand. It's a nice driver focused dashboard, and you know, there's a lot worse places you could be for the money. That brings me on to my next topic. I said a few minutes ago that this car was originally sold by the current owner for peanuts. That's effectively what it was sold for. He bought it back now. He's paid a good bit more to get it back, but he's gotten a much better car back, let's be honest about it. But values of these, they're still not massively high. You know, 3,000-4,000 euro would get you a pretty tidy Celica of this generation, but I really don't think that's going to be the case for very much longer. These are a great car, and I'm really surprised they haven't gone up in value a lot quicker. Okay, you have Corolla XLI's gone up in value, you have the MR2, Mark 1 and SE20, they've gone up in value recently, and you know, I can't understand why the Celica hasn't followed as much yet, but I suspect that's going to change very, very soon. So if anybody out there is thinking about getting one of these, thinking about pulling the trigger on one, I'd certainly have no hesitation about doing it. Common faults, well, you're going to have to check is the engine been knackered by somebody driving it a bit too hard. The suspension faults would be reasonably common as well. Rust, yeah, it's common enough as well, but I can't think of any particular issue which would be terminal in any of these cars, especially with the parts support and the knowledge out there. They should be easy enough to maintain and to keep on the road. Even if they're a little bit ropey, if you're buying at the bottom end of the market, you should be able to still improve them along a good bit more. So I spent a couple of days with this car, and quite honest, I was really struggling with why the values of them haven't gone up. I couldn't figure it out. And then I was trying to think, well, why did the values go down in the first place? And I suppose there was a little bit of an image problem with the Celica. it was bought new, it was loved, it depreciated, it got picked up maybe by younger guys looking for cheap sports cars that they could drive hard, and that was pretty reliable and reasonably cheap to insure. And I thought to myself, well, what is this car? It's 24, 25 years old. That image surely has to have gone by now. The Celica hasn't even been on sale for as a current model, an ongoing model, for a number of years now at this point. And I just said, no, in my mind that image is gone, that's moved on. I'm no longer associating these cars with boy racers. Those lads have all grown up at this stage. And I pulled in yesterday evening to take a couple of shots of outside the car, and this kind of reminded me of what the problem is with the Celica. I pulled in, got out the camera, started taking a couple of nice exterior shots, or at least what I thought were nice exterior shots. And next thing I could hear this voice, and a little bit of a distance away from me, I could hear somebody on the phone saying there's a couple of boy racers up here with a souped up car acting like weirdos. They're taking pictures of it. Should I call the guards? And you know, it straight away brought it home to me. While maybe the image has moved on for me, there's obviously a certain cohort of people out there that this image has not gone anywhere. Now, I know the person who was making that call. She's actually quite a lovely person. She lives local to me, and I was just too far away from her to see who was actually driving the car. And you know, it is great to see a sense of neighbourhood and community and people looking after each other and watching out for each other and keeping an eye on things like this. But it's something that has never, ever, ever happened to me before, except with this car. So I'm assuming it's the car rather than me is maybe the issue there. And maybe that explains why the values haven't gone up. Maybe it explains why people aren't seeing them as collectible. Some people, not all people. There's certainly a group there who see these as collectible. Myself, definitely, because the second I saw that this car had been bought, I was looking at it and I said, God, I want that car. Why wasn't that there when I was buying my last car? So yeah, personally, I think they're a great car. I think they're brilliant future classic potential, brilliant daily classic potential. It's a lovely young timer, and I think anybody should be delighted and should be proud to have a car like this. But obviously that image issue still exists, and certainly exists amongst a certain generation. But I suspect it is actually a wider problem than just that one lovely person. But the call just gave me a bit of a chuckle. I had a good laugh about it. So thanks very much for coming along on this drive. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to like the video. Please comment underneath it. Please send me an email, especially if you have a car in the North Tip, East Limerick, kind of South Offaly area, which you'd like me to come and drive and to share on the channel. The other thing is, listen, the likes, the shares, that's my way of knowing if people are enjoying what I'm doing here. And I'd really like if you could get a little bit involved there. Give me as much feedback as possible. Comment if you liked what you saw, let me know. If you hated what you saw, let me know. If I've said something wrong, I probably have. I've probably gotten something mixed up. Let me know. I don't mind. I'm open to correction. If somebody could do me one thing though, I don't know why, but I couldn't find out what ST stood for in ST202 for the model number. So if anybody knows that, could you just let me know? I was just interested to find out. But yeah, as I say, if you have any cars you'd like me to drive, contact me. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It's been great having you along for this drive. Thank you.